Hey folks, welcome back to Klepper's Corner. Today in the news for July 17th, 2025, I'm Jordan Klepper and I'm here to guide you through another day of global chaos, domestic drama, and more international mishaps than a toddler with an espresso shot. We've got ceasefires that don't cease, churches getting shelled, laws passed that hurt the people they claim to help, and one very moody Donald Trump attacking the Fed like it's his barista that got his order wrong. Let's dive in. Segment 1. Fragile ceasefire in Syria and Israeli airstrikes. Today in Syria, a ceasefire was declared in Sweda, where the Syrian army backed off after clashes with Druze militias. It was mediated by the U.S., Turkey, and the Arab League. Sounds promising until you realize the Druze immediately went full revenge mode on nearby Sunni Bedouin communities. So, yeah, it's like putting a bandage on a broken bone and calling it physical therapy. Meanwhile, Israel decided this was the perfect time to test out its new GPS-guided conflict complicator by bombing Damascus, claiming it was to protect Druze communities. The Israeli strategy right now seems to be, when in doubt, bomb the capital. That always helps stabilize things, right? Now, over 370 people are dead, and the interim Syrian president is yelling about foreign interference, which, let's be honest, is like yelling about the sun being hot. Segment 2, ICC rejects Israel's plea on arrest warrants. The International Criminal Court has officially rejected Israel's request to withdraw arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. Yeah, the ICC said, "We're good, thanks," and refused to suspend its war crimes investigation. This means the warrants are still active, and if Netanyahu visits any ICC member nation, they're legally obligated to arrest him. Suddenly, the phrase international man of mystery has taken a whole new turn. It's not mystery anymore. It's just travel anxiety with legal consequences. Segment 3, Holy Family Church in Gaza hit. Meanwhile, Gaza saw one of its few remaining places of worship hit by a reported Israeli tank shell. Holy Family Parish Church, the only Catholic church in Gaza, was damaged, killing 2 and injuring several, including the priest. The Vatican is furious. Italy called it unacceptable, and even the World Council of Churches is clutching its pearls. And you know it's serious when religious leaders all agree on something that isn't brunch-related doctrine. Humanitarian aid to Gaza has been shut off since March. People are starving, churches are being shelled, and still we're told this is just collateral damage. Collateral to what? The Hunger Games Gaza edition. Segment 4, Shas party exits Israeli government. Over in Israeli politics, Netanyahu's coalition just got dumped harder than a TikTok influencer who bought fake followers. The ultra-Orthodox Shas party left the government over disagreements on military draft exemptions. Netanyahu now commands just 50 of 120 seats in the Knesset. That's less a government and more a support group. This fight over conscription reveals deeper divisions in Israeli society. Ultra-Orthodox groups don't want to serve, while everyone else is like, we're literally at war, pick up a helmet. At this rate, Netanyahu might draft himself just to boost numbers. Segment 5, Iraq hypermarket fire kills 61. Tragedy in Iraq, where a newly opened hypermarket caught fire in Kut, killing at least 61 people. The building was open for just a week. Pro tip, if your building can't survive 2 Fridays, it might not be up to code. Once again, we're seeing failures in building regulations, safety enforcement, and general human decency. The phrase sandwich panel cladding should not exist outside of bad culinary schools. Yet here we are again, mourning preventable deaths. Segment 6, EU sanctions on Russia blocked by Slovakia. The EU tried to pass new sanctions on Russia, but Slovakia said, no thanks, we'd like to keep our gas heaters running this winter. They're demanding guarantees on energy before they approve any sanctions. So the EU, a 27-member powerhouse, is currently being held hostage by Slovakia. It's like the Justice League can't go fight crime because Aquaman forgot his water bottle. Segment 7, UK and Germany sign major treaty. The UK and Germany are back in sync, signing a big treaty covering defense, migration, and even missile development. It's like a buddy cop movie. One left the EU, the other stayed, but together they're fighting crime and co-developing a deep precision strike missile. This shows that Brexit didn't break everything, just most things. But hey, at least they're bonding over shared paranoia. Segment 8, Bangladesh violence over Hasina. In Bangladesh, supporters of ousted PM Sheikh Hasina clashed with security forces in her hometown. 4 dead, scores injured, curfews imposed. The interim government, led by Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, condemned the violence and wants Hasina extradited from India. What started as a rally announcement turned into firebombing and riots. Bangladesh still proving that political transitions are basically live-action cage matches. Segment 9, India scrambles to save Namisha Priya. India is trying to save Namisha Priya, an Indian nurse on death row in Yemen. Her execution was delayed, but her only real hope now is a blood money payment under Sharia law. Diplomacy hits a wall when the law says ask the victim's family, not the government. India's throwing everything they can at this, but let's face it, they're negotiating with centuries-old tradition armed with modern bureaucracy. Good luck. Segment 10, Iran seizes foreign tanker. Iran just seized a tanker in the Gulf of Oman, accusing it of fuel smuggling. 17 crew members arrested. Global shipping meet local chaos. This isn't just a border patrol story. It's Iran flexing muscle in one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. The message, this is our ocean. Your oil better have a receipt. Segment 11, Russia's vigilante surge. In Russia, law enforcement officers are quitting to go fight in Ukraine, where the pay is better. At home, vigilantes are taking over streets enforcing pro-Kremlin order. Nothing says social stability like handing nightsticks to guys named Igor who watch too many mob movies. When the police become soldiers and the civilians become cops, that's not a society. That's a dystopian casting call. Segment 12, Trump slashes spending. Back in the U.S., Trump got his $9.4 billion rescission package through the Senate. It claws back funding for foreign aid, public broadcasting, and global health programs. The hits include NPR, PBS, PEPFAR, and just about anything with a purpose other than bombing someone or building a wall. Congratulations, America. Your free Sesame Street is now a pay-per-view event sponsored by Lockheed Martin. Segment 13, LGBTQ mental health line axed. The 988 Suicide Prevention Lifeline just lost its LGBTQ youth option. Press 3 is gone because nothing says we care like cutting a support line used by over 1.5 million people. California's Gavin Newsom is fuming and launching a state-funded alternative because apparently in 2025, whether you get crisis help depends on your zip code and your governor's mood. Segment 14, NVIDIA chip sale to UAE delayed. The UAE wants NVIDIA's powerful AI chips, but the Trump admin is saying, hold up, China might peek over your shoulder. Now the deal stalled. Executives are frustrated, and somewhere in Shenzhen, Huawei is giggling like a Bond villain who didn't even have to do anything. Segment 15, Trump versus Jerome Powell. Trump called Fed Chair Jerome Powell a numbskull and compared talking to him to talking to a chair. But he says he's not firing him unless he spends more on furniture renovations. Markets took a hit, Republican senators panicked, and Powell probably cried into a spreadsheet. Because nothing builds investor confidence like your president threatening to fire the central banker over paint colors. Segment 16, DOJ wants voter rolls. The Justice Department is asking at least 9 states for full voter rolls because apparently your data privacy is just a suggestion now. Legal experts say this could violate federal law. State officials are freaking out. And somewhere in Colorado, a county clerk is Googling how to say no to the federal government without getting subpoenaed. Segment 17. Renewable energy projects stalled. The Interior Department now requires personal approval from Secretary Doug Burgum for any wind or solar project on federal land. Yes, we're bottlenecking the future through one guy's inbox. So, if you're a solar developer, get in line because you'll need a permission slip, a notary, and probably a blood sample to get anything done. Segment 18. EEOC allows some trans complaints. The EEOC will now process transgender workplace discrimination complaints, but only after they go through a full TSA-level screening and get signed off by an agency head who calls biology binary. It's a bureaucratic gauntlet that says, we acknowledge the law, but we're going to drag our feet through every step of it. Segment 19. Trump signs Halt Fentanyl Act. Trump signed the Halt Fentanyl Act, scheduling fentanyl analogs as Schedule I drugs. Law enforcement gets more power, and scientists can now research them legally. It's a serious attempt to stop the wave of synthetic overdoses. Now, if only we could stop social media from convincing people that street fentanyl is diet candy. Segment 20. Kansas City flooding. Kansas City flooded overnight, 28,000 without power, dozens of rescues, and highways underwater. Reminder, just a few inches of water can turn your SUV into a submarine. Let's stop building in flood zones like it's a real estate challenge on Fear Factor. Segment 21. Indian market highlights. In India, Hero MotoCorp and Tata Power are top stock picks. Solar Industries India gets a sell. Turns out when you rally 110%, eventually gravity says that's enough. Segment 22. Indian legal moves and Vadra charges. The Madras High Court ruled that caste can't be used to deny temple entry. Good. Weird it needed a court ruling, but good. Meanwhile, Robert Vadra has been charged in a money laundering case tied to a land deal. First time he's facing criminal prosecution, and it could spell major political headaches for the Gandhi family. Segment 23. Air India crash probe. The Air India crash that killed 260 people is now focused on the captain who allegedly cut fuel to the engines. That's not a mistake. That's a disaster recipe made from bad decisions and worse training. Segment 24. India bloc to meet July 19. And finally, the India Opposition Alliance will meet on July 19 to prep for the monsoon parliament session. Expect a lot of speeches, some shouting, and hopefully fewer walkouts than last year's cricket match. Wrap up. That's it for today's global chaos, domestic disasters, and geopolitical backflips. This has been Klepper's Corner. I'll be back tomorrow with more news you didn't want but really needed to hear. Stay skeptical, stay alert, and maybe double check your flood insurance.